Come fly with me, let's fly away.
Oh wow, what we got here?
If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar down in South Bombay.
Oh wow.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Frank Sinatra has come back from the grave to greet us.
Yeah, we resurrect
his presence.
We here at So to Speak have the technology to resurrect dead celebrities.
We can rebuild them.
Just kidding. We wish.
How sacrilegious.
Yeah. So, Frank's, welcome to So to Speak. I'm Evan Mead.
I'm Lyle Groniger.
And today I wanted to kind of start off on that note because we want to talk about traveling. A lot of big vacation plans that were scheduled for the year 2020 have sadly been given the shaft or have just been canceled altogether, rescheduled. You name it, it's just not happening this year thanks to a lousy pandemic that has made traveling by air very risky and traveling across borders of countries very risky. So to lift everyone's spirits, we want to reminisce on a simpler time where traveling across a border could be done with relative ease. So we wanted to recount the time that myself, Lyle, and a good friend of ours who is our real guest on the show today did a road trip from Toronto, Ontario, Canada to the great US of A where we hit 3 major cities over the course of 6 days. Now, I'd like to welcome to the show a very good friend of mine, known him for a long time, Brandon B-Man Glass. B-Man is the nickname he goes by. Brandon and I have known each other since grade school. Holy shit.
Grade 1?
Grade 1, yes, that's true.
Hello there, Brandon.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. So, anyways. So today we're going to just reminisce on a little bit of a road trip we took. Well, it started in
our East Coast Excursion, I would like to call it.
East Coast Excursion. That's a great title.
I
like it. Yeah. So
how did we come about forming this trip? Like, where did the idea stem from? Where was the germ that set this whole voyage before us?
I think it was literally just we got together one night and we agreed that we wanted to take a road trip to somewhere. We took a vote as to where, and we came up with a bunch of ideas like Ottawa or something. And
yeah, we started out with Ottawa. I think Montreal was on the list too.
Yeah. The thing about Canadian cities is that, Ottawa...
They're fucking boring. No, just kidding. Yeah, but I don't know. It's just like going to Ottawa would take just half a day or maybe like something around that time. And I don't know. I think I've been to Ottawa and it's not a bad city. Don't get me wrong. It's just there's not really much to see there.
Except museums and landmarks.
Yeah, like if you're into like the political landscape of Canada, yeah, it's a great place to go to travel to all the municipal buildings and stuff like that. But I don't know, yeah, there's not too much out in Ottawa. Montreal's not bad. I think I went to Montreal when I was 5, and it was, it's a nice city. It's clean. It's got like an interesting culture to it. But yeah, it didn't pique my interest as much as our other selection, which was the East Coast, like down in the States.
Yeah. Brandon, you've been to Montreal, right?
Many times.
Yeah. Many times, huh?
Yeah.
I went there 12 field trip for like S trip. It was amazing. The party scene there was good at that time. The drinking age was 18. So
wait, what age?
18.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
nice.
Right. I thought you said 15.
Yeah. That's cool. Montreal is on my bucket list. I gotta be honest.
You've never been?
No, I've never been to Montreal.
Oh wow.
What?
I know. When this whole pandemic shit dies down, we'll go there. I feel like we should go there next. But for now, I gotta say, I've been in terms of all the traveling I've done in my life, I've covered more ground in the United States than I have in Canada. I'm kind of ashamed to admit, because there's so many places in Canada I want to go to.
There's a lot of places in the United States to be. So
of course,
there's no harm, no foul.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird when like you live in one country and you spend more time traveling in the other, and you get to see more places in the other country.
You're seeing the world, Evan. That's all that matters.
I guess.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Don't be hard on yourself.
Last year on a beautiful August morning, I gotta say the weather was mostly gorgeous. Like for this entire trip, we really lucked out with that.
Big time.
Yeah, it was a nice, and we didn't get too much rain.
Even drive and stuff, it was amazing.
Oh yeah.
Bro.
Yeah. The cool part. So Brandon, you were happy enough to contribute your car that you had newly bought. For the trip, and that car was a beauty, man.
That was a very nice car. We even came up with a fun little nickname for it.
Yep.
Yeah. Anytime that song comes up on shuffle, it makes me remember the nickname every time.
Yeah.
Orange Crush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Orange Crush.
Yeah.
And like Evan, every time we were driving by, he'd always play that song by REM.
Yeah.
That was a cool car.
That was a cool car.
And it got us through many wonderful places.
Yes.
So we all congregated. We all congregated at what was it?
Well, our first stop was actually we spent the entire day crossing the states of New York and Pennsylvania, seeing some just gorgeous scenery, just beautiful stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of hills and valleys. I didn't expect it to be so. What's the word I'm thinking of? Like, not mountainous, but just like a lot of heights.
Yeah. Well, the Appalachian Mountains in upstate New York and upstate Pennsylvania, they're just gorgeous to pass through. And the Canadian Shield is kind of the same thing once you get north of Toronto and the Great Lakes, but the Appalachian Mountains they're something else. Like, they're beautiful to look at. Mm-hmm. And our first stop was
we also passed by Scranton.
Yes.
So I was like huge. I was huge into the office at this time, so I'm like, oh, we're gonna meet Dunder Mifflin out here.
Yeah.
We're gonna bump into that place.
Yeah. But anyways,
I think I played the theme while we were driving by.
Yeah. Another thing that was cool was that we did see a lot of landmarks that had been in several movies before. That was the thing about this trip. So our first stop was...
our first stop. Yeah, we took a little extra detour just to get to this one place.
Were we even supposed to be there that day?
I don't think so, but then we just all agreed.
Yeah, we did. We paid a visit to the Quick Stop convenience store in the tiny town of Leonardo, New Jersey, which is about 45 minutes southwest of New York City. And it's where the great Kevin Smith shot his first feature film ever, Clerks. Being inside the Quick Stop convenience store is... It was a monumental experience, and it's one of the most fondest memories I can recall from that trip. And we saw some of the most iconic landmarks in the entire world, like on this trip.
Well, it was new for me because like I've been to New York, I've been to Washington, and but I never spent much time in New Jersey. And by the sound of it, not too many people want to spend too much time in New Jersey. But it was really cool seeing this place that I have such fond memories watching Clerks when I was in high school. It's one of the first films that influenced me to want to be into filmmaking, and like it was just so surreal being inside the very building where Kevin Smith got his start.
Not only was it surreal, the building stinks on the inside.
I was gonna get into that. It's not the cleanest building I've ever seen, but it's a convenience store. I think every convenience store eventually develops that kind of mildew smell, like an old freezer,
because it's been there for like a long ass time. Like if it's still a tourist attraction, it's been there for years.
We went into the building and like the owner was looking at us like, oh, here we go again.
And it wasn't fucking Randall or Dante. It was some guy who I guess had worked there for a long time. It's still a family-owned business. Remember that. So even when Kevin Smith was working there, it was a family-owned business.
One new addition was they put a vape shop in there.
Oh, yeah!
Yeah. it was just some, like, it looked pretty hashed together. Like, it looked like they just set it up, like, and put some cardboard around the area so it looked like another, like, cashier spot.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. Like, I recreated the scene where, Randall, like, shimmies into the store.
That was fabulous.
That was awesome.
Oh. So that was a cool stop. We got some shirts as souvenirs.
Yeah, we got some, like, RST video shirts. Yeah, oh, by the way, the RST video is still there. It's not open. It's completely derelict, but it was kind of neat. Like, you peer inside and you see all these old VHS tapes just laying around and collecting dust. That
was, yeah... It was cool to see, and I bought a pack of Skittles, which I still keep on my shelf next to my Clerks action figure display to this day.
Yeah, and I kept a Hershey bar that I kept inside my DVD of Clerks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really meaningful stop for us, I believe.
Yeah, it really was.
Hearing these stories from you makes that detour stop so worth it for me.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, because I know it wasn't like on your highest priority of trips. Yeah, it was a little out of the way, but we really do appreciate.
We really do, and
taking the time to get there.
I think you remember.
Stories makes it 110% worth it.
Yeah, I remember when we were planning it. You're like, "Why the fuck do you guys want to go to some convenience store? It's not just a convenience store, Brandon. It's
the holy fucking convenience store.
Hey, the holy fucking convenience store, son." Jay and Silent Bob weren't there. They had better things to do than hang out in front.
I remember one guy when we were there in the line ready to purchase stuff. He could easily tell how eager we were because he knew that we were fans of Kevin Smith.
Yeah, because
like, you guys missed your shot. He said to us, "You guys missed your shot." Kevin Smith was here a week ago.
Oh, if we were off by one, we were off by just 1 week.
Can you imagine?
Oh, if we bumped into Kevin Smith on just on our trip, that would have just been like the cherry on top.
That would have been great.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Because I remember writing a letter to Kevin Smith's DMs on Instagram in 2018 he almost died of a heart attack.
He lost a ton of weight too.
Yeah, he seems to be in a lot better shape today, thank goodness. But we almost lost Kevin Smith, and I wrote him an email or a DM on Instagram saying, "I'm so glad you pulled through. I saw Clerks the same year I saw Avatar, and both of those movies had me look at filmmaking in a different way. Avatar made me understand that anything is possible in terms of the limits of your imagination and what technology you have. But Clerks made me realize that a great story can be told with the bare minimum of resources, and that just inspired me to just pick up a camera and shoot whatever I could." So it was awesome.
Right.
And then we...
yeah, let's carry on. So that was our first stop. What was our second stop?
We made camp in Philadelphia that night at Brandon, what was the name of the hotel we stayed at? I can't remember the name of the hotel, but you can.
Embassy Suite.
What was it called? The Embassy Suite.
Suites.
Yeah. And I remember... I will never
forget... Hilton, I think it was, or something.
No, it was Embassy Suites. I remember now. And I will never, ever forget the address of this goddamn hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember it?
I don't. What was it?
It was...
Evan, do the honors, man.
For sure.
Come on.
It was 1776 Benjamin Franklin Drive or Parkway. I am not kidding.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am not kidding. There is a hotel in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, located at 1776 Benjamin Franklin Parkway. And we also stayed in the 4th room on the 7th floor. No, I'm just kidding about the 4th room on the 7th floor. I'm just kidding about that part. But
what's the joke?
July 4th. July 4th. 7 okay. is, July is 7 and 4 is the day.
That went over my head there. But that was a nice hotel, too. Like, that room
was
it
was gorgeous. Yeah.
Had a nice view. I think
I stayed there before when I traveled to Philadelphia with another friend, and I knew, like, this would be a great stay. It wasn't too expensive. And I'll never forget what the hotel guy said to me, because the Raptors won the championship, obviously, in 2019.
Yeah.
And when I went wearing my Raptors jersey and I had my tattoo, I never forget being like, man, you are very brave wearing that out here.
You got some similar shade when we went to New York City the next day, which that's the next part of our story.
No, we took a little bit of a night stroll around Philadelphia.
Philadelphia is...
I gotta say, man, like, of all the cities we traveled, like, I mean, we did come out of Jersey, of all places.
Yeah.
But, like, the air in Philadelphia is so clean. And it's a very breezy city. Like, it was just... It was so nice to walk around a city where it's like it's kind of nice to like breathe in and take in the atmosphere. Like there's a lot of nice trees, and a lot of nice park areas and parkettes and and some nice like fountain areas too. Like,
Philadelphia
it's a clean city. I like
is a really nice city. So
maybe we were just talking like tourists, but like that was the cleanest city we encountered.
The cleanest. Well, I mean, in terms of, I think the temperature in that city
held a factor over
Washington. I honestly
we'll get into that
I
later.
think that was like we had that was the most cooperative, like comfortable temperature. But then again, we got there at night, which means like it would. And
we also spent a day there, but we'll talk about that later. So after Philadelphia, after we crashed there for the night, we took a mad dash to the city. Is it the city that never sleeps?
Yeah, that's the city that never sleeps.
The city that never sleeps. The Big Apple, New York City.
And we had an interesting experience on the bus because we left the car at the hotel and. We hopped on a bus, and it's New York and Philadelphia are reasonably spaced. It's like a 2-hour bus ride.
Yeah, it wasn't too far away.
It's like commuting from. It's like
And our bus driver was awesome too.
Yeah, he was so good.
That guy was a comedian. Remember, like we're pulling out of the bus station in Philly, and he's like saying, "We're heading into the belly of the beast. If you got any questions, please feel free to ask me." But don't you come up to me when we're on that turnpike, or I'm gonna have to send you back down. And
didn't he also say something like "the force be with us"?
Yeah, may the force be with us. The guy, this guy was this hilarious dude.
He was a fun guy. Yeah.
He really was, and he was cracking jokes like, may the force be with us, because it was 8 o'clock in the morning when we left Philadelphia, and to get into New York and rush hour into the city on a Friday morning. Like, in a pre-COVID world, like, this is, like, it's a mission and a half.
Super lucky.
It's a mission and a half. So then, we get into the Lincoln Tunnel, which had minimal, like, we had minimal traffic. It was insane. Yeah. And when we got to Port Authority Bus Terminal, Brandon, you actually, like, talked to the driver, and he said something crazy, like, how, like, he had never seen traffic that... I don't remember what he said to you, but you said...
What did he say, Brandon?
Yeah.
I don't remember his exact words, but it was definitely along the lines of, like, this is one of the fastest times I've ever made it from Philly to New York City during the week. He said it's like once in a blue moon type of deal.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Oh, aren't we lucky?
Oh, yeah.
So what do we do in New York? New York was like, out of all the days we spent on our trip, this one was the most packed.
It really was
down to the minute on what we wanted to do, because we only had a day to spend in New York.
Well,
which is insane.
What's crazy?
Not only that, I had to get back to Philly to catch a baseball game.
Yeah, you had a baseball game that night.
We're gonna have to have you just to talk about that because
we diverged and we all had our own separate experiences.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Those will be good stories to share in a bit.
Yeah, but I think the first thing we did, I think we stopped at a comic book shop, like close to Times Square. That
Midtown Comics.
Midtown Comics, that was the place. Yeah.
Yeah. I bought
it was like a 2-story comic book shop. It was pretty rad.
Yeah. They had this.
So cool.
I picked up this encyclopedia for the Legend of Zelda video games that I've never seen at any bookstore in Canada, and I'm like, this is a find. I gotta take this. Mm-hmm. It blew like a bunch of my tourism money just for that day alone, but I was happy to spend it.
Yeah, and you've been reading it ever since. You've gotten your fill of it.
There's like so many cool facts about Zelda in there, but anyways.
Yeah, you freaking love Zelda.
Yeah.
It was worth it. Yeah.
It was worth it. And then
after that we went to Times Square.
We basically gallivanted around. Is it gallivanted around
we were gallivanting around Times Square.
You went
like the tourists we were.
Yeah. I actually made I know, Brandon, you asked me, like, because I'm the proud owner of a Canon DSLR camera, And I'm going to be honest with you, like, a few days into the trip, it occurred to you that I didn't bring this camera with me, and you're like, Evan, why didn't you bring this camera? I was hesitant to bring it for a couple of reasons. One, I had a bad experience with this camera. Not just having the camera, like, be carried around on your person in a city like New York or even Los Angeles is because it gives away the fact that you are a tourist. And I'll tell you a quick story. On another, I've been to New York several times, but in 2014 I took a trip there, and I had a bad experience in Times Square, where something you got to know about Times Square, and this applies to
a lot of tourist traps in these states. In Times Square,
an out-of-towner, like, this is business as usual for the people who live there. There are a lot of
people who walk around dressed like famous, popular pop culture characters.
Yeah.
Like, we saw, like, a Transformer, like a Bumblebee.
Yeah,
we saw a Batman.
Sheriff Woody.
And I saw a really filthy Elmo.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of these people look like they don't, like, wash very often.
And their costumes smell like alcohol.
Yeah, like, there's like a lot booze. Of filthy, like, people who like that who, like, hang around tourist traps and ask you to take pictures with them.
Yeah.
And, you can take a picture with them, but they're going to demand that you pay them, like, a pretty hefty fee, like $50 or something.
And
so you gotta be careful about those people.
So,
especially with your kids.
What happens is I took a picture of some guy dressed as Batman when I was there in 2014, and he had, like, this thick, I think it was an Armenian accent. He was like, "Hey, paparazzi, you gonna make tip?" And I'm like, okay, because in Toronto we have, like, similar in Dundas, Yonge and Dundas Square in Toronto, where we're from. Fun fact, Lyle and I did go to school there. There's a couple of colleges and universities in that area alone. Mm-hmm. So there's a guy called the Toronto Batman he hasn't really been, like, a big thing on the street in Toronto anymore.
Because you probably shouldn't be on the streets right now.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, like, Toronto Batman, like, you take pictures with him. He doesn't really ask for money. There's also this parkour guy.
Yeah, Peter Parkour. He's Spider-Man.
He has a really good Spider-Man costume.
I see him a lot in my work area, like Queen and
the difference between these cosplayers in Toronto and these cosplayers in New York City or even LA is that you the Canadian cosplayers will not charge you money. They're not going to snarl at you if you don't tip them. And then what happened was, when in LA, I had another similar experience with my the fact that I had a camera around my neck. So, my friend Natasha and I went to see a movie in LA at the Grauman's Chinese Theater, and this was in 2015, so I'm kind of diverting a little bit from our trip, but...
Yeah, we should probably get back to our trip.
Yeah, so I'll get back to it right after I tell this quick story.
This story. Yeah.
So, basically, it was the first time I had ever seen Hollywood Boulevard in the fall of 2015 when I went with my friend Natasha, and I'm seeing... oh my god, the stars of, like, famous people on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on the way to the Chinese theater. And my friend Natasha she's got, like, high anxiety sometimes. And this particular night, when we were walking, her anxiety was really, really high. And I didn't understand why. But then I thought she was mad at me. But it turns out she wasn't. The fact that I had a big ass camera around my neck was a dead giveaway that I was a tourist. And some dudes walked past us and they're like, "Yo, get down! There's this guy shooting across the street." And I actually ducked, thinking, because it's LA, it's America, everyone has a gun. it's fucking the US. Everyone has a gun. I'm not used to gun violence in Toronto.
It could have been Texas or something.
Oh yeah, but.
It's like the law enforces you to have a gun.
Yeah, well, we were in a blue state, and these guys, and as soon as we got to, like, a calmer place, Natasha explained to me, those guys were fucking with you because they saw the camera around your neck, and it was a dead giveaway for them that you were a tourist, so they wanted to kind of fuck with you. And I'm like, wow, some cities, they're not kind to tourists, like, if they know you're a tourist. And I guess that can be said about a lot of places, because even Toronto, like, isn't perfect either.
Let's try and keep on topic.
Yeah,
so what did we do in Times Square? I remember I was on a quest to get a Ramones shirt, because they're a New York local band that I was really fond of. And I just couldn't. I don't know. We went to like Hard Rock Cafe. We visited like every single T-shirt place. Like,
well, Hard Rock Cafe. We learned.
Oh, they don't have anything. They just have like a lot of mercedise regarding Hard Rock Cafe in general. I'm like, well, I don't want that. I want the music. Damn it.
So we did some. We paid a quick visit to the Disney store, and Lyle got.
I got my girlfriend a lady doll, like the dog from Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah, you got a lady for your lady. It was really cute.
She loved it. Yeah, she loves dogs.
I got my stepmom Statue of Liberty Mickey Mouse T-shirt from the Disney store.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, the Disney store was cool. The Disney store in New York City is 2 stories high. It's a really fun place.
2 stories high in Times Square. They want to get the most out of the space.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and then we quickly darted over to the Rockefeller Center, and
we had two choices. It was either going to be we take the tour up to the Rockefeller Center, like on top of the rock, or we were going to go to the Empire State Building.
We opted to go atop of the rock because the Empire State Building view, it's cool, but the line to get in there is really long.
And I mean, it's not really a New York view unless you see the Empire State Building.
Oh yeah, so. I maybe I'm biased, but then again, I would have to go to the Freedom Tower observation deck in Lower Manhattan, but the best view I've ever seen of New York City is on top of the rock. It was super cool.
It really is the best view, I think. But yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think Lyle, you were the one to push that idea more.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was the one who was... I was very emphatic that we take the top of the rock because it's closer, and the Empire State Building, while it is a very amazing building, I think going inside, you get the inside, but you don't see, you just see the rest of New York, and it's
yeah, exactly.
You can't see New York.
I also scored my favorite T-shirt from
Your favorite T-shirt?
vacation I've taken.
Oh yeah,
from the Rockefeller Building, yeah.
Oh, I remember that. We went to the souvenir shop. Yeah, I remember.
It also had a really good. It had a great view of Central Park too.
Yeah,
which we
it did.
Unfortunately, we didn't really get a chance to see Central Park, but we had a lot of other stops along the way.
So then,
after atop the rock,
I had to give these two a crash course in navigating the New York subway system.
Oh fuck me!
Well, for an out of towner, it puts the TT in terms of its accessibility. It puts the TTC in Toronto to shame.
It kind of, in a way, yeah. Because every rail has, because in Toronto, there's only 2 lines or 3 or so lines, and they only go 1 or 2 ways. There's no deviation. But in New York, it's you'll sit on one line, and 3 or 4 other trains will come, and they all go separate routes.
Yeah.
The amount of thought put into the subway system in New York is so interesting to me.
Yeah. And you think it's complicated? The Tokyo subway system is even crazier.
But it's great.
Okay.
And the best part is that it's open all day. It doesn't shut down.
Yeah, city never sleeps. Not like Toronto, which goes to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's our curfew.
So then we went to the World Trade Center Memorial, and there is a museum, which we didn't get the chance to see. I saw that a couple months later when I went back to New York to visit a lady friend in November. But so the World Trade Center Memorial, it's a lot more of a pleasant place to be, because to put it into perspective, my mom took me to what was Ground Zero in the year 2005, and at that point they still had not cleared up the debris from 9/11, and it felt like a demolition zone. It really did, just with all the rubble, and it just felt like a giant construction site that is not a very appealing place, and there was damage to the surrounding buildings.
There's a lot of history to
that. You're right, because even 10 years ago, when I was 18, my mom took me to New York City, and she took me to the site.
Yeah, it was the first.
And it was still a construction zone.
Yeah. And then, but over the years, they have rebuilt it into this... they have these 2 gorgeous memorial, marble pools.
Yeah, they're fountains.
Yeah, and they are the exact... They're giant squares. They are the same diameter that the original Twin Towers like once stood.
It's so breathtaking.
It really is. And
the foundation of where it was.
And just like the Vietnam War Memorial, there is a marble wall around both the perimeters where there's just names just carved into the marble of people who were both in the towers and on the planes too, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was something.
And then this is actually where the story diverts, because Brandon at this point went back to Philadelphia. Now, Brandon, talk to us about the trip back and what you did for that night when you were in Philly by yourself.
Yeah, divulge.
Yeah.
So this was, it was good. The bus ride back to Philly was not as good as on the way there, I'll tell you that.
Oh, because you had to leave in rush at like 4 o'clock, which is rush hour.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
It didn't
I was getting a little nervous, too, because I was like, oh, man, not even close to the first bus ride.
Oh, yeah?
No, can't win all the
time. I booked an Uber on my phone, and I had an excellent Uber driver. God bless. I was going to parts of Philly where I didn't really know, but I knew where the stadium was because they have a beautiful sports complex there where they have all their basketball, football, baseball, hockey, all in one area.
Yeah.
I guess they got bars, pubs there.
Oh, that's great.
That's great.
Who was playing?
The Philadelphia Phillies and the San Diego Padres, I believe.
And this was August 16th, 2019, just for the record.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, who won?
The Phillies won, actually, so it was fun.
Home team.
Home team wins.
The stadium was beautiful. The night was beautiful. I bought a Philadelphia shirt to fit in.
Cool.
Try not to... That's great.
Yeah.
But you know what? It was good. Being by yourself at a baseball game was really relaxing.
No, I'm glad you had fun.
That's cool.
I'm glad you had fun on your own. That's good.
Thank God I know the Philly transit system to get back.
Oh, good.
I did not Uber back to the hotel.
Yeah.
I subwayed back to from the sports complex to City Hall, which is very close to the Embassy Suites, and then I know my direction in that area, which is why I chose the hotel for us, just in case.
Wow, I didn't know Philly had a subway system.
They do.
We didn't really take it much.
We didn't know.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, they have a decent subway system.
That's good.
Nothing like New York.
It's smaller, so yeah.
But no, I ordered some room service that night too, I think, and it was great.
What time did you get back to? What time did the game wrap up? Because was it an early
game? The game wrapped up at around 10 p.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I got back to the hotel around 10:30ish.
Yeah.
Stayed up to about midnight, watched some Netflix, ordered some room service, and then waited for you guys in the morning, obviously, because you guys obviously stayed in New York. You spent the night there.
Yeah.
Explored more.
Okay, so that's. It sounds like you had a nice time.
Yeah, that sounds really fun.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I gotta be honest. While you were doing that,
Lyle we were having a relaxing day.
Oh,
a night in
so
Philly.
Relaxing.
No, hectic,
not for us.
Not hectic, not stressful, not time. You're not constantly checking your watch. Evan and I were like bouncing all up and down New York.
Down to the as soon as we parted ways at Port Authority, there were 3 more places we wanted to go. Well, first of all.
You wanted to see your Nana first.
Yeah, my step grandmother, the last woman my grandfather was married to, I'm still in touch with her, and she's great. Sometimes when I go to New York, she will put me up in her apartment if she's available. So
and she lives all the way out in Queens.
Yeah, she lives in like central Queens, like around somewhat near Roosevelt Avenue. So we. First off, we want to before we go to visit her to drop off our stuff, we go to the Brooklyn Bridge, which had a lovely pizza place called Grimaldi's that your girlfriend had recommended to us.
My girlfriend kept going on and on. She's like a huge pizza aficionado, and she was like, Lyle, you have to try Grimaldi's. And I'm like, okay. And I ate, and like, yeah, it wasn't. Was there much of a line? Oh yeah, there was a line after.
She told us to beat the line because it was like she said beat the dinner rush or you'll be waiting for like an hour and a half.
Like it's a busy place, and we got like a counter area, and we had some of the stuff, had some of the pizza, and honestly, it was pretty well made. Like it was gourmet pizza.
It was, yeah.
It was really delicious.
Yeah. So then, to give you an idea, to get a train, not all the train lines in New York are as convenient. Yeah, it's super convenient that you can go anywhere by train, but getting to places is a whole other can of worms. Because to get from the Dumbo Bridge area and the Brooklyn Bridge to Queens, we had to take a train that looped through Manhattan and then went back up through Queens.
I love how, like, there's just one section in New York. It's the Dumbo Bridge. Just one little street you can walk on, and it's such a wonderful view. We weren't the only ones there. There were, like, 40 people just taking pictures of themselves at this Dumbo Bridge.
Yeah, it's one of the most...
tiny section of New York that just has this remarkable view.
Well, a lot of... Yeah.
You get that a lot in New York. There's a lot of good, like, areas to take pictures.
Yeah. So
carrying on.
So we went and I introduced Lyle to my step grandma.
She's a very lovely woman.
Yeah, she put us up for the night, and then we caught up for a little bit, and then Lyle and I wanted to go to this museum called
the Museum of the Moving Image.
Yeah, now
a film museum.
I guess this is redundant for you. Might know this if you're a native in New York. You might not, but. They typically have like a free admission from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Friday nights. And the Museum of the Moving Image is super, super cool. Like
I really enjoyed my time there. And the biggest thing they had that day was they had the Jim Henson exhibit.
Yes!
So they had all the Muppets from Sesame Street. They even divulged in some of his early work before. Like, he originally didn't want to be a puppeteer. He wanted to be...
a poster artist or something.
Well, yeah, I think it was something like kind of like mundane, but then he got into poster work, and then it graduated into puppeteering.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's amazing how, like, some people's lives just started like, I'm just going to be a truck driver. Oh, never mind. I came up with the idea of Terminator. Hi, I'm James Cameron.
Yeah.
So it was such a cool museum. Had, like, three floors, and unfortunately we kind of got there a little late, but we... managed to see most of the exhibits. We saw, like, they had, like, collections, like, ranging from, like, the makeup of the Elephant Man, like, the makeup they put on John Hurt.
The mask from Mrs. Doubtfire was there, too.
Doubtfire's mask.
Chewbacca's mask was there.
Yeah, and they had, like, all this collections of, like, Star Wars figures.
They
but
did.
Unfortunately, like, we didn't have time to get to the third floor because the museum was closing, so we had to go. But I got my fill.
And then, it was a really cool place. It's a great place to learn about the history of the technology of film, not just, like, film itself as an art form.
Yeah, didn't they have, like, old editing technology back in the day?
They did, and there's an exhibit there that you can see when you can actually play with it. Like, the average Joe, there are little booths where you can actually experiment, like, with just, like, amateur editing software. It's really cool.
That's so cool. I would have loved to have seen that.
But yeah, so then...
What did we do after that?
We hopped on a train, and then we headed for Coney Island.
Oh yeah, you said, hey Lyle, let's go all the way an hour and a half down south to New York to see Coney Island.
I had never been to Coney Island, but
I have. During the day, though, I never went at night.
At night, it's
lively.
It's really lively.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
But when I got the text from you guys from Evan saying that you were going to Coney Island, I was like, oh my god, that is so far from Queens.
Oh yeah, it was like an hour and a half subway line. Like, good lord.
Honestly, in Toronto, to put this into perspective for Torontonians, if you live in downtown Toronto and you want to get to Canada's Wonderland by transit,
That is comparable. It takes like an hour to get there, hour and a half.
Very comparable. That's actually, a very good comparison, Evan.
Thanks to the addition to the subway, getting to Canada's Wonderland by transit's actually not that hard anymore.
It's a mite easier, yeah.
It's slightly easier.
They put the Vaughan line in, yeah.
Yeah.
But going back to Coney Island, so we arrived, and we're like, wow, that was a long ride. My ass is sore. And we got like...
And then there was this, like, raving, like, lunatic on the train as it was pulling into the... Because Coney Island... The trains stop at a Coney Island, like, subway terminal. And you get off, and the first thing you see is the park. And we got to ride the Cyclone.
Yeah, there's, like, a lot... It was lively for, like, being late at night. And there's, like, a lot of rides out there. Yeah. And, like, they cost, like... It's, like, $5 an admission. It's not like Canada's Wonderland. You have to pay for each ride.
It's like the CNE.
CNE, too. That's a good one, too. Yeah, and it's like, Evan, if we have to go on any ride in Coney Island, we have to go on that beautiful wooden roller coaster known as the Cyclone.
The Cyclone was actually pretty cool.
You get a good value for $5. Yeah. Most rides like take like a minute and it's over, but this one was like a good 3-minute roller coaster ride. And it was so smooth for a wooden roller coaster. Oh my god!
I couldn't believe it. Like there. To make a comparison, we frequent Canada's Wonderland up in Ontario, and the two oldest coasters that have been there since the park opened in the 70s or 80s.
80s, yeah.
They are jolty as fuck.
Pretty bumpy, yeah.
In fact, the guests complained so much that they had to put, like, padding on the roller coaster cars. Because it was such
that's what makes the Mind Buster and the Wild Beast amazing.
Yeah. The Wild Beast is the smoothest of those, but the Cyclone in New York happens to be smoother.
Yeah, and the best part was, like, as we were riding, like, there was, like, fireworks going off. There's like
I have a funny story about that. So, we, it wasn't funny in the moment, but it's funny now that I look back on it. So, the coolest part of the Cyclone was you go up the initial, like, to the initial drop. It takes you up the main hill. And when you're at the top, like, it faces the ocean, and there is a coastal beach there. Like, I saw nothing but black on the horizon. It's both a disturbing and awe-inspiring sight to see. And you see it for a few minutes, and then the coaster begins, like, Dah! And fun coaster. Yeah, and then
you see all those fireworks going up in the night sky.
I'm not
that really added to the experience.
Now, I'm just this tourist who doesn't know much about New York, but I hear banging going off, and when I'm in the United States and I hear bang bang, I'm like, oh god, someone's shooting a gun.
I think that happened right after we got off the coaster, and like some people melted too. Some people overreacted as well, and it's like, it's just fireworks. I get the paranoia.
There was
for sure.
And it was this paranoia at this time was specifically high because this was like less than a week after Texas had that mass shooting.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember that.
Yeah.
And then we walked around the beachfront, and it was busy. It seemed like there was some sort of like party going on at the beach or something.
Yeah, no, I mean in New York, in the United States, they love their fireworks, and I guess it was like a nightly thing because the fireworks were cool to see.
That was kind of like our last stop for the night.
And then we had to take a 2-hour train ride back to my grandma's place.
Oh yeah, we also saw the Wonder Wheel from the Warriors. That was cool.
That was cool.
Yeah. Oh. It just towers over everything.
Yeah, that was another cool thing.
It's still running even after like the 70s.
Lyle introduced me to the Warriors before this trip.
Yeah, I was like, if you want to go to Coney Island, you gotta see the Warriors because like that's where they're from. That's their homeland.
Yeah.
So, if you will.
So that's the trip. And
so 2 hours later.
And then, so we go and the New York, the heat in New York, it was really muggy that day.
Oh
and
god, yeah.
A lot of places in New York do not have air conditioning.
It made me regret wearing pants.
You wore pants that day?
Yeah, I wore black, like, soggy pants.
Oh my god.
Like, I was just like, oh.
Did I forget anything about... Oh, there was one... when we got off the subway on Queens Boulevard, my step-grandmother lives off of Queens Boulevard. There's this guy who was trying to sell us a comic book or something. Oh yeah,
like you saw we went to Midtown Comics.
Because I was carrying the bag on me.
And he's like, hey buddy, you want to take a look at my comic book? Here, you can have it for free. You guys are from Canada? I'm like, yeah. So we read it, and yeah, it was
weird.
It wasn't really that great, to be honest. Sorry.
But yeah. You know, hey, if you can make it there...
you know, like, just getting a free comic from some guy, it was kind of like a interesting, like, encounter.
So then...
The next morning.
The next morning, we wake up and we
had to get up pretty early too
because we had to get the bus out of there because we had a full day of traveling after we sight saw around Philly. So this is where it actually gets pretty.
Not necessarily a full day of traveling.
Yeah. What was that? Not necessarily a full day of traveling. Yeah. Not necessarily.
Yeah, we stopped at the Rocky Monument before we left.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get there.
Yeah,
we spent a day in Philadelphia.
So what happened was, we woke up, my step-grandmother makes a mean cup of coffee, we had some, and then Lyle we headed for Port Authority, the bus terminal, and then Lyle still hadn't gotten his caffeine fill that morning, so this is one of the funniest, but not funny.
It wasn't funny. It pissed me off. We went to Dunkin' Donuts at the Port Authority bus terminal. It was lined up the ass, and I ordered a vanilla latte or something, and I was waiting, and I think I saw them. They made my latte, but they forgot to add vanilla in it. So rather than just hand me the damn latte, they throw it out. And my bus needs to leave in 5 minutes, and then Evan, you just come up to me. It's like, Lyle, we gotta go.
I held out I waited.
You were waiting. You were like a hawk.
No, I was waiting till I was waiting till it was down to the wire, cause I waited. I'm like, dude, we can't wait anymore. The bus is leaving in 3 minutes. Yeah, I gave you until.
I tossed my receipt at them. I'm like, fucking degenerates. I'm out of here. So we got on a bus and we headed to Philadelphia.
You were pissed.
I was sleepy. I mean, of course I'm pissed. I want my coffee, I want my latte, and I didn't get it.
So
I was waiting in line for 10, 15 minutes.
Our trip back to New York by bus was smooth. Sorry, Brandon. And then we got to Philadelphia, and then it was sightseeing time. The first place we went to was the art gallery, which... Who the heck am I kidding? You don't remember it because it's an art gallery. You remember it because...
It's the Rocky Steps!
Yeah.
They even put a pinpoint location as to where Stallone was standing when he did that.
Yeah.
When he reached the top of the steps.
His feet markers are still there.
There was also a lineup for the Rocky Balboa statue, but I don't know. We didn't want to wait for that.
I took a photo of the statue from a distance because people will line up to this day to get a photo of in front of that statue.
It was very busy there. Yes.
Yeah.
And then the other location.
I had lots of movie things throughout this trip.
Yeah. So Clerks. First of all, Clerks. The Empire State Building or Times Square, which has been in a ton of movies.
I mean, New York in general is just a movie location
in itself
of all time. Yeah, and then so then we went to Liberty Bell and we saw that for a little while.
Independence Hall.
It was a free museum too. Just got in and we
That's the thing I like about American museums. Canadian museums, take note. I know the tourism industry needs its money, but in the United States, the most of the museums, not all of them, but most of the museums are either free or they have a reasonable admission fee.
They're very accessible.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that. And after the Liberty Bell, speaking of locations where movies are, we went to a television location
where they shoot It's Always Sunny
in
Philadelphia. And we walked into the bar.
Yeah, we went to the bar where the gang hangs out.
Yeah,
Max Tavern.
Yeah, it was super. Yeah, it was cool to be there, and then we got some Philly cheesesteaks.
Oh god, those Philly cheesesteaks were so good.
Yeah,
that's I mean, if you're gonna be in Philadelphia, for Christ's sakes, get a Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah,
I know.
The home of the Philly cheesesteaks.
Yeah.
And then
the worst Uber driver
the
ever.
The worst Uber driver of all time. I felt so bad for her.
Yeah.
Yo, Brian, this story is just gold.
You lead this one, Brandon. You were there.
Okay, so like Lyle and Evan were saying, we booked an Uber. This Uber driver came. It starts off actually okay for 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
For 2 minutes.
And then he makes a left turn onto a one-way.
Oh,
that's going right. Yeah.
This is one of these stories where we can laugh now, but it was not funny.
Cars are gonna come at us if cars are gonna come.
Oh, we shouted at her. It's like, hey.
And he made a turn, and then we just kept going in circles too.
Yeah, she had this really
the Uber driver. The Uber driver was a she. She had this outdated GPS system.
Yeah, it looked like something out of like 2004, like a really early model, and it could never like keep a route. It kept recalculating, even though we weren't going anywhere far.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was disappointing. Definitely,
it was an awful experience.
Pretty awful experience.
Sure.
But it was a memorable experience
nonetheless.
Yeah. There was something to laugh about.
We took the Uber, and then we got our car back, and it was on the road again to Washington, D.C. And
oh yeah,
I had never been to Washington, D.C.
Neither have I.
I went on a school trip for like my band and stuff.
Who was the president at the time you went?
Obama.
Yeah.
Would have been Obama.
Yeah. But so anyway, so we go to Washington, D.C. The drive down there was really smooth. Some traffic in Baltimore.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I remember like when we were on the road at one point, we stopped at McDonald's and I ordered like a quarter pounder. Just something simple, and it tasted so greasy.
Oh, that was on the way
to Jersey. I just want to point that out because we'll wrap up later when we're heading back home. I gotta say, like, American McDonald's tastes so much worse than Canadian McDonald's.
Well, this particular rest stop
but it's
in upstate,
cheaper. That's the trade-off.
Yeah.
But anyway, so moving on to Washington.
So we just get there and it's late, so we just do some sightseeing and then we don't do any sightseeing at all. We just chilled and then we went out for dinner. And I tell you, the government was on vacation, so there weren't any like politicians. And Donnie was at Mar-a-Lago or whichever one of his golf courses he owns, just doing his weekend league golfing. I learned that from the cabbie because the next day we took a walk to the White House and not to get ahead of ourselves.
We went to the Capitol building.
Yeah, we went to the main political landmarks in Washington where
in the mile.
Yeah. And I remember, like, the cab driver told us that, like, every weekend, like, the president's just never home. He goes golfing every time, so... Yeah. But anyways, so then Washington at night has no nightlife. And this is the middle of the summer, like...
Yeah, I know. Oh, it was so hot in Washington. We went right in the beginning...
Yes, it was.
Right in the beginning of a freaking heat wave.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, I remember, like... going there where they like always have to buy a popsicle or something or a bottle of water.
Good thing they have like refreshment trucks like every like half a mile.
There's a lot of that, and there's like scooters you can rent if you want it. We didn't take one because it's kind of like not necessary.
It's like well, it's also expensive too.
Yeah, it's a luxury for sure, but like it gets you around if you want to go through the mile in one day.
Yeah.
On our first day, we went to the Washington Monument. Well, we went to the Capitol building, then we went to the Washington Monument, and right next to the Washington Monument there was the Black History Museum, I believe.
Yeah, the African American History Museum.
That's right.
That was a super cool museum. I'm going to be completely honest because they have like
neat, yeah.
They have
sports
sections,
music.
Yeah.
Culture.
Hey, Brandon, not to turn this into a political or discussion too much, but do you think they're going to update that museum like for George Floyd and after the whole like tensions that we're going through this year?
Yeah. It might be something they might update, like
on
2020.
On that type of question, I prefer not to comment. But
fair enough.
2020 was quite a year.
Say in is there has to be a change, and it's got to come sooner rather than later, and it's just got to be done. There's no ifs, ands, or buts anymore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. That's a very fair thing to say. All we can really... Yeah, but the museum is really cool. There's this neat statue of Michael Jordan, and we were in there for a long time. Like,
quite a long time.
Not quite as long as the museum we went to the next day, but...
and then after the museum, I think we wanted to go to the White House.
The White House is, like...
quite a walk, actually.
Washington was my favorite.
Yeah,
because one because I haven't been, two because of all the museums and stuff we saw there.
Yeah,
was so unreal.
Right around there. Yeah. And I remember like when we finally arrived at the White House, I kind of spoiled it because I walked headfirst into a lamppost.
I mean, it wasn't funny.
Well, it wasn't funny. I was angry because like first of all, that was scary because it
wasn't done on purpose.
Yeah, no, it was an accident and. I got a huge lump on my head. I was worried I had internal bleeding or something, or at the very least a concussion. And, like, the heat was bearing down on me. And it's, like, the worst part is, like, if I have a concussion, I gotta go to the hospital in the States.
American healthcare system.
American healthcare. That's the scariest thing of all. So, but, you know, thankfully the bump went away after a day. So, like, it wasn't a severe crisis or anything.
Now,
there's just, like, the White House is, like, every time you're there, like, there's always, like, protesters. There's always, like, people, like, sitting there with cardboard in their hands. Sitting around in tents.
Lafayette Square is where you banged your head.
That's
Lafayette Square is on the north side of the building, and what's interesting is there was this like random construction project that is still going on to this day about building like not a better fence around the White House, but there is like an honest to God wall. It was being built around the White House at the time, at least on the north end. I don't know what they did on the south end. The south end looked pretty good.
That's a pretty big perimeter to cover.
Yeah, and they're just dumping money into building like a fortifiable like barricade around the White House, which is kind of redundant if you think about it, because the security around there is insane. Like,
oh, of course,
yeah. If any movie you've ever seen will tell you, like, you know, the White House is like the like fortress of solitude that you just can't get into. It's insane.
Yeah.
But anyways,
except if the movie is Olympus Has Fallen
or White House Down
or Independence Day, where you're Jeff Goldblum and you just walk in.
You want to ring the bell or should I?
and then that night, I think we you ordered out. Is there anything else that happened that day, or is that kind of a wrap up?
This was the first day. Actually,
we spent like 3 days there.
Once your temper wore off, we took a breath and we walked to the war memorial for like both world wars. That's right beside the pool that leads from the Washington Monument all the way to the Lincoln Memorial.
We did that on the first day?
Yeah, we walked from the White House past the War Memorial to the Lincoln Memorial.
Okay.
The Lincoln Memorial, my dad had been urging me to check it out for years. The Lincoln Memorial is a really...
It was awesome.
It was pretty nice.
There is this sacredness when you walk into the temple and you read the Gettysburg Address, which is carved on the side of in stone on the side of the building.
Yeah, you really feel like
you're a part of history.
Like Abraham Lincoln's like staring right into your soul, and
it's a really interesting feeling because like
you feel really empowered when you enter that place.
There aren't too many statues in the world that give you that sense of, you know, present, that give you a sense of like the person is here,
the
like
presence of the president.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was probably like it was a cool thing to see.
I remember I slid down the stairs, like there was a little
and I'm like,
panel you could slide down.
Like you nearly avoid a concussion. Now you want to go fucking sliding like a skater boy down the stairs.
Shut up! I was having fun. Yeah, but one thing about Washington is, like, around the time when the sun starts setting, like, there's not too much else to do.
Yeah, like we said.
We headed home, and it's like, you know, I want to get something to eat. Like, Brandon, like, ordered, like some, like, Uber Eats or something. I ordered
Five Guys burgers.
Five Guys, yeah.
Yeah, and I know, like, throughout all 3 days, you kept drinking Sprite.
Yeah.
You had, like, a mountain of bottles on you.
And then
by the time
the first night,
we went to a bar. We wanted to go to a bar.
You and I went to the night we were there for 3 nights. It was weird. Just for future reference, if we ever go back, we're not going to stay 3 nights. We're only going to stay 2.
I'd rather spend another night in New York than another night in Washington. Because, like, the thing about Washington is, like, at night, it's so quiet, and there's, like, not a lot of places to eat or go, and there's nowhere to really walk around other than the landmarks.
Yeah. But, yeah.
For sure.
Washington is, it's very similar to Ottawa, you know. It's this political town. There's very little activity, like, on the street, like, once you go out. But then...
During the day, there's tons of stuff.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
The second day, we went to the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum.
Yes.
Where you get to see...
museums.
You get to see, the Wright brothers... The Wright
brothers airplane, yes.
You get to see Neil Armstrong's spacesuit.
Yeah, that was cool.
The X-15... They have a whole exhibit on the space shuttle now.
One thing I thought was cool, just as a side note, is that they actually had like the Buzz Lightyear that they sent out into space during one of their missions.
Yeah.
It was like, and Pixar made like a documentary about it or something.
I remember that. Yeah, it was cool.
And they even show like how like the Coke cans and how they like would drink soda in space because like everything's like a bubble when you drink a fluid in there.
Yeah.
So that was a neat system that they built. They were trying to perfect it before they went to the moon.
Yeah.
Or something.
But
I have to say my favorite part of that museum was the demonstration on how they did how they live in space and did stuff. Like they showed the bathroom, what they have to do to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's
stuff.
like a 10-step process or something.
Yeah.
They have to make
I
like
thought
yeah.
that was pretty cool and crazy at the same time.
You know what's interesting?
What is interesting, Evan?
If you have to go, because gravity manipulates your body when you go into space, if you have to go to the washroom on Earth in a gravity controlled environment, your bladder, when your bladder gets 1/3 of the way full, you will feel the need to relieve yourself, and then but in space, because there's no gravity, you won't feel like you have to go to the bathroom until your bladder is about 3/4 of the way full. So yeah, I just thought that the fact that there's like this 10-step process as to how to work the toilet on the space shuttle.
I mean, if I'm in a spaceship, it's better late than never.
Exactly. But
But
one thing I want to do next time we go there is part of the Air and Space. We only saw like half the Air and Space Museum because 40 miles west of DC, there is a hangar that has all kinds of airplanes and just replicas of airplanes, and it's really cool to see, like, just all the airplanes. Like, they got fighter jets from like every stage of warfare. They have like the turboprops from World War II, fighter jets from the Cold War, present day warplanes. It's super cool to see.
That would interest you, Evan, because I know you have a very heavy fixation on aircraft and all of the
Top Gun. Seeing that movie at a young age warped my mind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it did.
But Brandon, I even begged you, like, we gotta go to this hangar, and you're like, no, it's too far.
It was really.
We're gonna have to next time. We have to go there because we've already seen we already saw the first half of the museum, and I want to go back to the hangar outside of DC.
Yeah, definitely next time.
You should definitely put that on your list next time we go to Washington.
For sure.
I know there was also, like, you know the area in The Exorcist with those, like, really crooked steps?
Yeah.
Like, there was an area of that in Washington that was way too far out of the way. But a friend of mine said, oh, if you ever get the chance, check out those stairs in The Exorcist where, like, the priest falls out and dies. Oh. And I'm like, oh, I'll put that on my bucket list.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, next time we're in New York, we have to... The movie wasn't out at the time, but we have to see the stairs in the Bronx where Arthur Fleck strutted down and danced on, and Joker.
Joker, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I hear a lot of people complain if you do that. It's like, oh, this is making our neighborhood look scummy, and, like, it's not good for us. I'm like, well, you're getting people in your area, and you'll get a lot of, like, business out of it.
The residents,
unless they don't pay, I don't know.
The residents who live in Hollywood Hills in LA have a similar problem with tourists coming to get the perfect picture of the Hollywood sign. It's so much of a problem that they actually paid Google to manipulate Google Maps so that tourists can't take proper pictures of the sign. Because, like, the good places are, like, right next to people's houses, and the residents don't like that.
I bet that's frustrating.
But yeah, so anyways, and then...
What else did we do on the second day?
We went to the Holocaust Memorial Museum, and I have to be honest, there is not much to say about that museum, and there is everything to say. Like...
It was my favorite museum on the trip.
Oh, it's one of the best museums I've ever been to in my entire life, and not for the reason, not because it's like fun, but because it's
informative.
It's informative. It's significant. It really makes you think. It details the step-by-step societal process for how Nazi Germany basically dehumanized the Jewish people. And
rose in power
as a man who was born with a Jewish father and as a man who has grandparents who survived the Holocaust, it's a very unpleasant. It's not a pleasant place to be, but it's a very important place to be because the way it shows you history and the way it actually tempts the fire of, if you're not careful of what you interpret, what you see, your history is going to repeat itself, because it's a cautionary tale in the form of a museum. It's so haunting, and it's so like professionally like what laid out at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta be honest,
it's a no-brainer museum. It doesn't matter on religion, race, or skin color. If you're ever in Washington, visit the museum. It's informative. Even me, as a full Jewish person with 2 Jewish parents, Jewish grandparents, people who survived in the Holocaust, people who died in the Holocaust, I even learned stuff in that museum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most surreal parts of that museum was walking by the shoes
that is the
smell the rubber. It was that I was like, oh my freaking god.
That is the emotional the emotional break moment.
Yeah,
that was the breaking point of the museum, because this was the second time I went to the museum. Like in my Washington trip, I went there too, and all my classmates were like very affected by the shoes. That room of shoes. Like some girls were crying, and some people were really
where
moved.
everything kind of came in and waterfalled to me, and I was like, oh my.
The breaking point for me. Well, the most haunting thing I saw was actually a statistical chart. What the first thing you see when you walk into the first exhibit at the museum is how the Nazis basically poisoned the minds of the German people through propaganda, because it showed the the percentages of how much of each country in Europe and North Africa had a Jewish population. Do either of you gentlemen remember? I will never forget what I saw on this chart. Do either of you remember what the Jewish population of Germany was in 1931?
Not with incredible detail, but I remember it was pretty high before
the German the Jewish population in Germany was, before circa 1931, I believe, was like something like 0.03%. I don't have the photo like in front of me right now, but we'll throw it up on the screen and then you can see it.
You're the one with the photographic memory.
Yeah,
that's
so
not me.
So I just remember like less than 1% of the population of Germany was Jewish, and the Nazis made you feel with their propaganda that Jews were everywhere and that they were the cause of all the problems. So if a mass population can be manipulated like that through it makes you think of like the power that propaganda has, like and how it works.
It is a very strong weapon. And Poland was affected too.
Poland had the highest.
Yeah, the highest.
Their population was like of Jewish people was under 5%. Again, I'll have to pull up the statistic, but yeah. So they had the highest Polish. The Polish had the highest Jew population in Europe in the early 30s. So that's how the Nazis poisoned the minds of the German people. And it's a museum that'll take your breath away. That's all I can really say about it.
I remember after we left, when we went back to our hotel, you guys were like, "You guys want to watch Schindler's List?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, I mean,
it's a long movie.
We've already kind of
experienced. You don't need to watch. You don't need to watch Schindler's List. You lived it.
Another 3 hours seeing all that again.
Yeah,
it's an excellent movie.
Yeah,
I think we
it's a good movie.
I think we picked The Dark Knight instead.
Yeah, we did.
But
of all things, but
much better choice for the vibe and the mood boost.
Can you fix the power settings on your computer?
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Much better choice for the vibe and the mood boost.
Yeah, we had fun with it.
And then the last thing we did before we headed home was we went to the MLK Memorial and the Vietnam Memorial. The MLK Memorial is this carving out of a pillar with his whole body, and it's actually really cool to see.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was very nice.
Yeah.
Another fabulous memorial. I love the writing on the wall too, all the way around the wall.
We're talking about the Vietnam Memorial.
No, even on the MLK one.
Oh yeah.
It had writings of like his speeches and key dates and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, and then we went to the Vietnam War Memorial, and to be honest, right before making this recording, I saw the movie on Netflix, Da 5 Bloods, because Chadwick Boseman has very tragically and unexpectedly passed away as of this recording due to colon cancer.
R.I.P. to Jackie Robinson and the Black Panther.
And James Brown, too. So in this movie, Da 5 Bloods, it's a Spike Lee joint, and it's his first Netflix film debut. And the first feature film he's released on Netflix. And the premise of the movie is this 4 members of a platoon called the Bloods who were in the Vietnam War. They go back to Nam to recover some gold that their commanding officer found in the war. And it's a powerful story about closure and brotherhood, and it's a really, really well done movie. But I wanted to bring this up because, like, you look at the Vietnam War Memorial, and because I just remembered like seeing the Vietnam War Memorial and thinking, like, you know, what kind of a war this was for America. Now, I have to be honest, because we're Canadian, the Vietnam War doesn't really have that much of a significance to us as a country, but when you go to the United States, like, that war means something totally different to them. And you can understand the social significance and the historical significance as to why it was such a messed up thing to remember.
Yeah, for sure.
And then that's pretty much the whole trip. The next morning we got in the car and we drove back home, and again, more beautiful landscape in
McDonald's.
Yeah, the McDonald's on the way back was a lot more pleasant.
I actually had a better experience there.
Yeah, because I think we ordered something different too.
On the way back.
One thing I noticed was, like, all the employees were old white women.
In this particular town,
just this one particular McDonald's, I noticed that. I'm like, huh. That's
old white women, huh?
Yeah, just like that caught me off guard for a second.
It's interesting.
What about all the Trump signs on the way back?
Oh yeah, we saw a lot of that too.
I did take a picture, but we were whizzing by a fucking trailer park in upstate Pennsylvania, like the middle of the country, and it had this giant billboard saying, "Make America Great Again! Trump 2020! I think I just yelled out the window, "MEGA! Yeah, you're living large!"
Was there a spelling mistake?
No.
No?
No,
okay,
no, not that particular one, but yeah.
That one surprised me, though.
Because, like, you think he's, like, making the country great again. Like, yeah, we're still... You guys... Did he upgrade you from a trailer park to suburban housing? Nope, you're still in a trailer park after 3 years.
Ooh.
That was the irony that I felt that the need to point out, but...
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we all got safe. He dropped us off at, like, Finch Station, and...
Yeah, no, we got home safely, and that was a great trip.
Overall, was 5 out of 5 stars for me.
Yep.
5 out of 5 stars? Yeah, it was very memorable.
It was. We
just did so much in those days. Like,
yeah, 6 days. It's amazing what you can do.
No, we saw a lot.
And what's cool is... I can't remember, like, if I'd ever done this before in my life, but I woke up in one city, on one day on the trip, I woke up in New York City, had lunch in Philadelphia, and then I fell asleep and had dinner in Washington, D.C. And that's like 3 major cities in one day.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
That's just one of the, like, coolest things about traveling is you get to see all these cool places in such a short period of time.
For sure.
Yeah, and the second COVID is no longer a threat or an impact on global travel. We are getting out on the road again.
Where would we want to go next? Actually, that's a good question.
Boston.
I like that question. Putting us on the spot now.
Yeah.
Well, because of COVID, my answer would be different if the world was still normal and COVID never happened.
Yeah.
But because of COVID, I think we have to go somewhere in Canada to reinvest in our own economy.
That's a really good idea.
That'd be a good opportunity for Evan to see Montreal.
Still in the country.
Yeah.
Obviously, the west side of Canada, there's more stuff to do.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to Edmonton and Calgary, especially the Edmonton Mall. I wanted to see it.
Oh, that'd be a cool place to go, yeah.
I've been to Vancouver. I think Vancouver's beautiful and also tons of stuff to do.
Yeah, that's where I'm from. That's my homeland. So
yeah.
Vancouver's awesome.
I did have a friend who thought about... invited me to come with her to Vancouver this year, just as a weekend getaway or something. But yeah, the flying is just not a good thing to do like in these times because for some reason, for a lot of reasons, it's one of the ways that the disease COVID-19 spreads through air travel. It's really weird. But so we'll be doing that for a while. But a road trip. I want to go to either somewhere in Canada would be great. I'm Montreal for sure. Definitely British Columbia. I would just dedicate an entire week to going there. I think that would be great.
If we went to BC, if we went all the way there, I would really, just as a detour, I'd really love to see Seattle.
Yeah, assuming
I'm down.
Yeah,
I went to Seattle for my cousin's wedding. I'd be down.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. I don't know why. Everyone always teases me, but for some reason I've always wanted to go to Seattle. I've always wanted to see the Sky Needle.
It's only a 2-hour drive too.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. Nice. So if we ever do BC, I'd totally love to go to Seattle too.
Oh, so down.
Yeah,
so
nice.
down.
So that's cool.
That'd be great, fellas.
Anyways,
I'd love to spend it with you two.
Aw, same here.
Me too.
Yeah. Anyways, so this has been quite a trip down memory lane.
It's been really nice.
Yeah.
This was enjoyable.
Yeah, I hope we've been able to uplift your spirits. It was great to chill out and talk about something other than entertainment for once. But next time we're probably going to go back to something entertainment related. But we wanted to kind of branch out and see what else this podcast can be about. Because we want to talk about just other malarkey and stuff like that. Like the good things that make life worth living. And traveling definitely makes life worth living, especially... and I think the travel industry, once this whole ordeal is behind us, it'll bounce back pretty quick because the younger generation that just graduated, university and high school, they're gonna want to get out and see the world, and they can't do that right now, but they're gonna want to. So
travel abroad. Of course.
I feel like we will see better days where we will be able to travel, and when that day comes, you guys will be there with me. So I can't wait. Thank you. Thanks so much.
I just wanted to say I'm about to cut you guys an A+ promo because it's what I do.
Oh, yeah?
Thank you, so to speak, for having me on. And for all those listeners out there, people who are listening now, tell your friends, tell your family, even tell your grandparents about it. They might even like it too. How do you know? So to speak, it doesn't just speak to you. It speaks to Master Yoda as well.
I love it, man. Thank you so much, Brandon Glass, for joining us today on this trip down memory lane. Thank you, and thanks. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel, listen to us on Anchor.fm, and may the Force be with us.
And also with us.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
See you later.